My approach has always been to hit line drive base hits. So I don't swing for the fences. I don't swing from the grand slam. I just aim to hit line drive base hits. And in real estate, if you do that over a 5, 10, 15-year period, you're going to make a lot of progress.
Hey there, I am Dr. Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast, where we explore the why behind success. Every week, I meet with real estate investors, veterinary entrepreneurs, mindset coaches, authors, and fitness professionals to uncover their why and how it drives them on the winding road to success. What is your why?
Hi everyone, I'm Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast. Today I'm here with Arn Cenedella. He's a real estate broker and investor with over 46 years of experience in the real estate industry. Arn founded Spark Investment Group in 2020 as he transitioned his single-family rental portfolio into multifamily properties. So, Arn, I'm gonna stop there. As I mentioned, I like to let the guests kind of tell their story and their background. But first, I want to say thank you. Thank you for coming on the show today. Thank you for taking the time out. I'm excited to chat.
Yeah, Jason. Well, thank you for having me on your show, and I'm looking forward to having a nice chat, and hopefully we'll provide some entertainment and some education to your listeners that will be enjoyable for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's start by just hearing, your background. Sounds like you've been in the single family and multifamily space. So let's hear your story.
Yeah, so I can start way back in the beginning. Was born into pretty much a middle-class American lifestyle back in 1954, born in Marysville, California, but soon moved to the San Francisco Peninsula. And my parents said, hey, school's important, work hard at it, go to college, get a degree. And of course, I did all that, enjoyed school, ended up getting a master's in chemistry, of all things, from the University of Michigan. Then kind of figured out that really wasn't my passion. At one point, I thought maybe I wanted to be a research scientist or a professor. And it just became apparent to me that really wasn't kind of my calling. So my father was in the Bay Area, and we had a quick call, and he said, well, come on out, get your real estate license, and I'll put you to work. So there was no grand plan to get into real estate. I wanted to return to the Bay Area, and that was an opportunity. Father was an excellent broker, even better investor. He was, my primary mentor. And so I went about selling single family homes in the Bay Area, started buying rentals. And this would have been 1978, at a time where you could still buy a rental in the San Francisco Bay Area. These days, you couldn't really do that. But back in the 80s, you actually could. So built up a little rental portfolio there through the capital I created in the brokerage. And what my dad always said is, brokerage is a great way to create income, but to create financial freedom and wealth, the path is through investment. So use the capital generated from the income, get it invested, and that's what will produce financial wealth and freedom. Then started investing in Austin, Texas, and I think most of your listeners understand how well Austin's done over the last 2 or 3 decades. 2014, Laura and I made a lifestyle decision to move to Greenville, South Carolina, just for a kind of a different life. Laura had a big Silicon Valley career with Intel, Visa, and Intuit, and we were just ready for something different. So we fell into Greenville, South Carolina. Love it here. And right about the time COVID hit, I had a call from a young investor friend here in Greenville, and this would have been middle of March 2020. And he said, well, Arn, what do you think's going to happen with rent collection due to COVID? And I said, well, Mario, I don't know. I got my March rent. Let's talk in early April, and I'll let you know how that impacts. At the end of the call, he said, hey, Arn, I'd like you to listen to this podcast. And it was about multifamily real estate. and kind of a light bulb went off in my head. I'd been doing the single family for now 35, 40 years. And partially I was just ready for something new. And I think to the degree as you get older, if you can keep learning new skills, new interests, and so forth, it kind of extends and energizes your life. So I was happy to kind of learn a new facet of the real estate business. Multifamily still single, is residential. It's not like I went from single family to retail shopping centers. I just kind of went from one residential space to another. And that's what I've been doing. I have two great partners, and that's one of the other things I really love about the multifamily space is it does seems to be more of a team effort. And so you can partner with people who are unique individuals, have unique skill sets, and thereby do the things that you're best at, do the things that you enjoy the best, and then let your teammates, your partners do the rest. So for me, I'm kind of a visionary, big picture guy. I don't like getting bogged down in details. And of course, with real estate operation, property management, asset management, that's all about systems and processes and, chop going along. And so I was fortunate enough to find a partner who excels at that, which then allows me to go out, hunt deals, network with people, and raise capital and do what I enjoy. So that's kind of a, 4-minute story of my life.
I know you reduced quite a bit of experience into a short time. There's a couple of really interesting points to me. One is the I guess input, influence you had from your dad, and I think so many people do not have that, right? Like so many people don't have a sort of inherent mentor, and so little about financial literacy and financial freedom is taught in school. Unfortunately, it's just not really doesn't tend to be focused on. And you mentioned that your dad said brokerage was a great way to make money, but you really get financial freedom from investing. And I think I want to highlight that for people because brokerage, everybody needs active income at the beginning. And for your dad, it was brokerage, but like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what that active income is necessarily. The goal should be to take that active income and get it invested in some form so that, in X number of years, then that, working becomes optional and you pick what you want to do, where, kind of where you want to do it, who you want to work with, all of that stuff. So I just, when you said that, it really resonated because I do believe that sometimes we talk about, how real estate's going to allow you to not work again. And so, like, generally that's not really how it goes. Like, you don't just stop working as soon as you get into real estate. You're working in some capacity or another to earn income. And then you're building this, compounding nest egg to eventually, sort of bring yourself away from that. And so it's great that you had that influence at an early age from your dad, to like someone that understood it.
Yeah, thank you. And the visual I always get is, well, to back up a little bit, my dad was born 1921, which meant as a young kid, he actually lived through the Depression. So obviously, a life event like that impacts your whole world perspective. So the first rule was pay yourself first, which essentially means live below your means. So try to live on 80 to 90% of your income. You have a delta, invest that delta. And I'm a real estate guy. That's what I do. But I think the key is really investing those dollars, could be real estate, could be something else. And kind of the visual I get in my mind is every day that capital I have invested puts on its tool belt or grabs its briefcase and it goes to work for me no matter what I'm doing, right? I think there's Warren Buffett might have once said, if you don't find a way to make money while you're sleeping, you're going to be working your entire life. So I think putting that capital to work for you is good. And the other part of your question is the way I kind of say it, having to work is different than wanting to work. Yeah. And I think there's something within human nature where we have to be productive. I think to be happy, you have to have some productive activity. And that could be volunteering to teach kids how to read, volunteering at your church, working in the community. For me, it's doing real estate and having relationships and helping people have financial success, which of course, contemporary life can be very stressful. And a lot of times the stressors revolve around money and time. And so kind of what I do allows people, one, to have more time because operators like us kind of handle the day-to-day where the investors get the benefit. So it increases income and cash flow, reduces that stressor a little bit without having any demands on your time. And I've done well in the real estate business. There's always people richer, there's always people poor, but I've done well. And it's been primarily due to real estate investing. And I still love what I do. I wake up every day excited about some productive activities I have. And I think the other thing for me at the age of 70 now, I think typically as people get older, their social sphere contracts. And it's, I think, a real problem for many people because you think about it through your lifetime, who are a lot of your best friends? There's probably people you worked with at work that you had a career with and developed great friendships that way. And so for me, for the real estate, I love the partnerships. I love being productive. And it adds to the totality of my life. I'm a fitness buff. I love playing golf, and I do quite a bit of that. But I still need to have some activity that kind of keeps my brain active and the social aspect of it. So for me, productive activity, helping people achieve some kind of degree of financial success, it adds to the totality of my life. And that's kind of working because you want to. And the truth is, if you enjoy what you do, it's not really work, right? You only not enjoy it when you don't enjoy it, right? It's drudgery when you don't enjoy it. So that's kind of how I kind of approach it. And, it works for me. And of course, the other thing, people are living longer. The definition of retirement is changing. So the idea that you work 40 years and then you just stop and do nothing, I don't think that really works. I mean, what's the point of living longer unless it's a quality life? So how do you maintain that quality? So those are some things that are kind of very important to me at this stage of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I think people don't, I think sometimes people that are outside of the investing world, again, real estate is our our vehicle, but just using investing in a general term, people outside that world, I think maybe have the impression that people invest to make a bunch of money so that they can then sit on the couch and watch TV all day, and it's like it's the opposite. Like the most successful people I know, in business and investing, like they spend less time watching TV. They spend less time on kind of unproductive activities. Like they want that time so that they can spend it with their families, learn a new skill. Like grow it, start another business that they're passionate about, do whatever it is. It's not designed to do less. It's just designed to do what you want, and it's not about, the money's the tool. It's just, it's like you said, the investments putting on their tool belt, and it's like you just, you want to create, uh, almost like a business with employees. Your dollars are your employees, and they're, going off to do a job for you each day, and kind of bring something home that shows that they worked hard. And it's kind of just understanding that concept of like what the true goal here is. It's money gets associated with it, and unfortunately money also gets vilified sometimes by people. But like, really, what we want is time, and I don't think anyone would vilify having more time, whether that's in their day or their life. Like, and so I think just shifting how you think about the reasons behind, kind of what people are doing when they're trying to build businesses or investment portfolios or whatever it is. It's with an eye on the future, and just freeing up time for themselves.
Yes, my mom used to say to me, busy hands are happy hands. And so I think that's kind of an old fashioned way of talking about productivity and being happy. Uh, and I think the other thing that I particularly get uh, good feelings about is, particularly in the real estate space, you're working in a community uh, and generally improving these properties, making the properties better. And yes, you want to provide a good return for your investors, but the way I look at it is our residents pay good rent to have housing. And so they deserve to have quality, safe, comfortable housing. And particularly in the United States, where housing affordability is a real issue, and I don't know that there's any easy answer to it. If you can provide hardworking people a decent place to live, uh, that they can afford, that's safe, that's quiet, that everything works, you're providing a service to them, and they appreciate being able to have that stability in their life of a decent place to live. So and of course the other thing is, as we're improving these properties, we're employing lots of people in the community, in the construction trades, landscaping trades, et cetera, et cetera. And again, somebody once said the best thing you could ever give a man or a woman is a job, right? Is employment. So we're injecting capital into the community. It's going towards people, local people in the community that work and need employment to provide for their families. So there's a connection with real estate and your community that I think makes it even a little more enjoyable, because you can actually kind of see the tangible results of your efforts.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. With that in mind, do you invest locally? What's kind of what markets do you like, Arn?
So I'm an old school investor, and we all kind of know location, location, location. And in my mind, the best market to invest in is the market you know best. And so I really believe local knowledge is critical. We all know within our communities, you could be in a particular location and you go a half mile across the street, and the whole character of the neighborhood could change. And so, really kind of knowing the local lay of the land is important. Certainly, we have unbelievable amounts of data available to investors these days. But I would submit the data is never as worth as much as actual eyes on the property, eyes on the location, boots on the ground. So essentially, all of our investments are in Greenville County, South Carolina, or the larger region would be called the upstate, which is a 9 county region, maybe 1 million people. So we really have a narrow geographic focus, uh, but within that geography, we own assets built from 1970s to new. So we're kind of agnostic as to the age and vintage of the multifamily asset and also the size. We've done deals as small as 7 units, as big as 281, but they're all literally within 20 or 30 miles of either our home and office. And I can tell you about a month ago, Helene did go through Greenville, South Carolina, and it was pretty severe. We lost power for 7 days. We lost internet for 10. On our various assets, we had probably 150 trees go down. Fortunately, none of them hit any buildings. No residents were hit. But my partner and I were able to get to each and every property within 48 hours after the end of the storm and report back to our investors as to the condition of their property that they invested in. So we have a narrow geographic focus, and I think that's important. For potential LP investors, I would say look for operators that own multiple assets in a particular market. You have a nice probability of picking a successful operator and deal if they have a track record and a footprint in a particular market.
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of people that invest in specific markets or, multiple markets, but being able to have, and it may come down to just having teams in, multiple locations, but I completely agree. I think I actually feel like I made this mistake when I started thinking about syndicating. It was like, I'm going to look at every market that is like considered a good market, right? So it's like looking in the Carolinas and Georgia and Florida and Texas and Arizona, like looking at all these different ones. But then it sort of struck me as, yeah, you can't know every location as well as, it's just impossible to know all those locations with the detail that you're speaking of. And so I think it makes a lot more sense. If it's your local market, awesome. But otherwise, like maybe narrowing it down to one or two particular markets that you can know extremely, extremely well. Most of our deals are in around Atlanta. And so that's one flight. I don't live in Atlanta, but it's one flight. I have people there. I don't have to go to multiple different states and things like that to sort of be
yes, and you own, I would assume you own enough assets in the particular submarkets in Atlanta that you kind of know the market, you know the rental value, you have established relationships with property management, contractors, et cetera, because it takes time to build a team.
Yeah.
And just one clarification. One of the beauties of being a limited partner or passive investor is you can diversify by geography. So that to me, so my thing about drilling down in one market isn't so much directed at the passive investor. It's more look for operators who really know one market. But as a passive investor, you can invest in 5 or 6 different markets. All I'm suggesting is invest with operators who really have a footprint in each of those 5 markets. And that kind of brings up another issue. I think most sophisticated investors understand the world financial order can be a little bit chaotic. And so it could be volatile. So to me, one of the ways investors can reduce risk is by diversification. And as a passive investor, you really have a nice opportunity to spread your capital out geographically, Also via class, you can have a little bit of class A, a little bit of class B, a couple different markets, a value add, maybe a new development, and you can really get a nice little kind of smorgasbord, which I think kind of reduces risk, which which generally is always a good idea, but particularly in times like now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. You really can you want operators that are, focused on one or two, maybe three markets if they've got a large company behind them. You want operators that are, expertise in a particular asset class or again, it's like you can use, as the passive investor, you can get diversified however you want because you're not operating, but like you may not want a tremendous amount of diversification in a single operator. So it's kind of it's probably tricky for people who are starting out as passive investors to navigate that, but ultimately I think that's really pretty wide.
And I just say, don't go all in on your first deal. Spread
Yeah,
a little capital amounts amongst a few operators. Wait a year, see what they do, and then you'll have a good sense of who you really feel comfortable with. Let them earn your business. Let them prove themselves, and then you can do it. So you don't have to go all in. There's good deals every month, every year. So you don't have to jump at the first one, and you certainly don't have to go all in on the first one.
agreed. What you when you made the switch from kind of single family investing to larger multifamily, what was your you said you had heard a podcast, like what was kind of your mind set, your like how did you shift that from going from one, and it sounds like you're you're looking at different size deals, so you didn't necessarily, some people are like, oh, you got to go with the biggest, big as quickly as you can, and it sounds like you're just looking for good deals, sort of independent of the size, good deals in your location.
Yeah, and quite honestly, on the largest deal we did, I partnered with my mentor who's out of California, and we're kind of the local Greenville representative. So the Spark Group, we really like the sub 100 unit deals. That's what we really like to do. Uh, but yeah, rewinding to 2020. Um, so number one, I had done the single family thing for, let's say, 40 years. So part of it, honestly, was just doing something new, doing something different sounded great, right? So, uh, I've flipped houses, I've done a lot of single family rentals, and I was just at a point in my life where kind of learning a new business, a new asset class, learning syndication was interesting and exciting to me. So honestly, that was a big part of it. The other part of it was, um, I think the thesis behind multifamily investing is pretty solid, and that kind of revolves around lack of affordable housing, uh, either mobile home or apartments are probably the most affordable housing available to Americans. And so you have a huge demand for affordable housing and a limited supply. So I just think the supply demand ratio works out pretty well for multifamily. Uh, and then the ability to have partners on your team uh, who can handle various aspects was also appealing to me. For many years, I managed my own single family rentals and I did okay at it. But truth is, uh, if I had a tenant in there that paid the rent and took care of the property, I might leave him in there 5 years and never raise the rent. It wasn't that big a deal to me. But representing other people and working their capital, you have kind of a different responsibility. Um, so finally, and I guess the other thing, many of us always have the notion, I can do it better than anybody else. So I wanted to manage my properties because I could do it better. So eventually I made a relationship with a local guy here, Brian, who's now my primary partner. I bought a duplex off of him and we developed a relationship. And slowly I turned over the properties, my own individual rentals, to him, and he runs them great. The money shows up in my account. I never get a call. And it was like, why did it take me so long to figure this out? I should have done that 5 or 10 years ago. And so with the multifamily, you have the availability of partners who can handle the stuff that they do best at. And our third partner, Dan, Brian and I are real estate guys. And as we started doing more syndications, the accounting and the financials started to become a bigger chore. You know, when you got 1 or 2 deals, no big deal. Now, when you're up to 5 or 6, kind of the accounting and the financial take more. So we met at a real estate conference. He's a Bay Area guy who transplanted to the Carolinas, not Greenville, up in Raleigh, Durham. And we developed a relationship. And so we've now brought him in, and he's kind of the brain, the financial, the modeler. And so I really enjoy that aspect of the multifamily. I consider Dan and Brian friends, and all the people we work with are part of my social and business sphere. So moving clear across country to an area where we didn't know anybody, having relatively small families, building these relationships through real estate have been important and enjoyable to me. So I think that's a big part of why I did it, in addition to just the idea of the supply and demand and scale. When you think about it, if you have 20 income producing units and they're all on one property, that's a lot easier to operate than if you have 20 spread all over your town. So there is some nice attraction to multifamily because of that.
Yeah, yeah. I think that a lot of that makes sense, and you know, that sort of team camaraderie piece of it is actually a really nice. I think in a lot of cases, if you're doing single family rentals, you may have a handyman, you may have a property manager, but it's not typically structured as that same team vibe that you get in the multifamily space. So I understand where you're coming from on that.
Yeah.
Well, Arn, let me switch gears. I want to ask you the questions I ask every guest. And the first one is based on the name of the show, being Know Your Why. What is your why? You know, I think we've touched some of it here. I know you said, I can't remember if this was before we started recording, but you said you had, someone ask you why you're still doing this at 70, and it's, I think that's, I think I understand why you would be doing it, but I'd love to kind of hear what your why is and what your response to that question would be.
Yeah. So there's an old expression, real estate's been very, very, very good to me. And real estate has been good to me. And I'm thankful my father taught me the real estate business, both brokerage and the investment side. And coming from Silicon Valley, people make a lot of money, but they work awfully darn hard. Mm-hmm. And when my kids were little, real estate allowed me to coach both teams. Baseball, soccer was kind of a year-round activity. The boys were 4 years apart, and I love sports, and we never had better times than we did out on the fields of San Carlos, California, where we grew up. So real estate gave me the flexibility to be able to do that. And so I think my why now is to help other individuals reap the benefits of real estate. I find most people understand intuitively owning real estate's a good thing. I think what holds them back is either they don't have the time, the knowledge, or the expertise to operate it properly. So, what we do is give people the benefits of real estate investing without the time obligations. And so, to the degree I can help people live a little slower, less stressful life, that's really kind of my why. Real estate's been great to me. And so, I would just like to help other people get the same benefits that I did and just kind of make their life a little bit better, maybe a lot better, but somehow just improve it, take a little of the load off. So that's kind of why I do what I do.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. Well, tell us something about yourself that isn't common knowledge, a special skill, a hobby, something to let listeners know you a little better.
Yeah, so I am kind of a fitness nut. It's a big part of my life. I once heard somebody said in retirement, your job becomes maintaining your health. And I think there could be a lot of truth to that. So basically, I'm down at the rec center 3-4 hours every morning doing a variety of activities from yoga, Pilates, weightlifting to cardio. It's social. You're working out with people. It's a community center. There's a boys and girls club, uh, swimming pool, basketball court. And so I really enjoy the fitness part of it. It's part of my routine. I get up and go, and it kind of sets me up for the rest of the day. And of course, due to iPhones and iPad, you can be pedaling on your bike and still doing a little business. And I'm active on social media. So I kind of uh, dual task or whatever. And it's kind of cool because if you're keeping your mind occupied while you're pedaling the bike, it makes it go a little quicker, and also getting a little bit of work done at the same time is good. So that's a big part of my life, and I'm a little bit OCD about it, but it works for me, so I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah, I also a bit of a fitness nut, and it I think it's just like the mental benefits are just as important as the physical benefits, especially as I get older. It's just like it actually helps me manage stress, feel more energetic, all of that. So I think it's such an important piece. And yeah, you can work from your phone in a lot of instances, and so it's like you can still be exercising and sort of, as you said, multitasking. So I think it's
Yeah.
a great point. Um, when people hear this and they want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Yeah, so I'm very active on Facebook and LinkedIn, either under Arn Cenedella or Spark Investment Group. My website is investwithspark.com, so you could reach out there. So those are probably the two best ways to get me.
Okay, and we'll put that in the show notes. My final question for you, Arne: what piece of advice would you give to someone who hear this, they're interested, they want to get started in investing? What would you tell them?
Uh, so my approach has always been to hit line drive base hits. So I don't swing for the fences. I don't swing from the grand slam. I just aim to hit line drive base hits. And in real estate, if you do that over a 5, 10, 15-year period, you're going to make a lot of progress. The other thing would be uh, certainly there's a quantitative aspect to investing, but I think as an investor, you need to also pay attention to the qualitative aspect of investing, which would either be the quality of the building or the quality of the location, because I think ultimately that quality is going to win out. So that would be kind of my advice to an investor. And the other thing is get started, start small, build up, build a foundation, grow slowly. That's the safe way to do it. Steady progress. I'm kind of more a tortoise than a hare. And I think if you approach real estate investing that way, uh, the odds are stacked in your favor. You're going to come out a winner at the end of the day.
Yeah, agreed. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Thank you for everything that you shared. I think people can take a lot from this and sort of understanding your approach and mindset around real estate investing. So I truly appreciate and have enjoyed the conversation.
Ditto for me. I really love your approach and kind of the whole vibe I get. It's thoughtful and paying attention. So it's been a great conversation. Appreciate meeting you.
Thank you very much. And folks listening, I know you're going to love this episode. Make sure you connect with Arn, and please like, rate, and review the show so we can get more great guests in the future. Thank you all for listening.
Hey there, I am Dr. Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast, where we explore the why behind success. Every week, I meet with real estate investors, veterinary entrepreneurs, mindset coaches, authors, and fitness professionals to uncover their why and how it drives them on the winding road to success. What is your why?